Hey Gemini, long time no see. Welcome to Pure Tarot. I'm doing a reading for the rest of October for you. We're gonna jump right in. I'm gonna draw out of this oracle deck called the Egyptian Gods. This first card will be sort of an anchor point for the rest of the reading. That's too many. Let's get the starting point from which to develop the spread for you. I might have to pull. Let's see. I usually like the cards to come out by themselves. Okay, Gemini, let's go get this card for you. And we have Genesis. So, the place from which everything originates. And whether you consider this to be in time and space as well, right? That's debatable. You could be looking before time and space. So maybe for you this implies starting over from a brand new standpoint, but it could also be looking back at your whole life, maybe even as far as your mother's life, right? And so the ancestry line maybe looking for cues or clues on a particular unfoldment of events. There's also deep thought about what and how you create, no matter what it is. Maybe you're interested in where your ideas originate within yourself. Some people do think about that, actually. Believe it or not. It might not be of interest to you. Who knows, right? There's going to be different Tauruses here. But first cards, we have the King of Swords in reverse with the Ten of Cups. I'm going to draw some more, but it's interesting. I just mentioned how you'd be interested in knowing where your ideas are originating from. And we have the King of Swords in reverse, but we do have the King of Swords here, meaning a strong emphasis on birthing new ideas, living in the world of ideas. Having the kind of job that requires deep thinking, deep research, that could also involve obviously great decision making, but after a thorough analysis, right? After having been presented with all the facts, and focused on what's to come. So it's a mix between it's a synthesis of looking at the facts, past past successes or failures, in order to create something forward looking. I'm wondering why the king is in reverse, especially especially that it comes with the 10 of cups. So it's almost like, for me, I'm sensing someone, if this king of swords is you are an air sign. It could be you, it could be someone else. You being very, very interested in structuring your ideas when it comes to shaping your happiness, for one, but also just your likes and dislikes. I also think that this king, it's funny. Whether it's you or not, this king is really obsessed, quote unquote, with on materializing their ideas, okay, their projects. It's like super important. They might be a little too obsessed, right? Like the king is in reverse. There could be a lot of compulsion there, and there could be a domineering trait, or also some form of over exaggeration in terms of putting too much emphasis on what those ideas are, what this future could look like, what just always leaving it on the mental plane, and having a hard time coming into their own emotions and stuff. But this is precisely what is happening. The king is in reverse. The king is coming out of being so much up in their head. They're learning to take a sip out of each of these cups, enjoying the flavors, enjoying what these emotions bring, dosing, am I drinking more out of this cup, out of this one? We have 2 knights. The Knight of Wands and the Knight of Cups. This is amazing. It's amazing they came out together. I love this. You see, I was describing how the king is opening up to more emotions, yet I have to really be clear here that as the king is experiencing their emotions, they are still very much preoccupied with what they're building. Okay, so this Genesis, whatever that thing is that they're creating in the world, which I think is their lifelong accomplishment, somehow that never leaves the picture, right? It's always in the backdrop, no matter how much fun they're having, no matter how, if they're letting loose, in that sense, it would still be the primary focus of this person, whether it's you or someone else again. And then we have these two knights coming up, coming out, coming up. You know, you are Gemini, and when I see two knights like that coming out, they look like twins in this respect, right? They have the same energy in the sense that they're both knights. Obviously, they're from different suits, but, you know, one is outgoing, the other one is more emotional. Let's draw some more, but I wonder if the idea of the King of Swords, if their idea of happiness is seeing these two knights together, right? It could be, you know, imagine that this King of Swords with this Ten of Cups, imagine it's a person dreaming, and you see in their dream it's like a bubble, and in the dream bubble in the dream bubble you have the two knights together. That's what it looks like. So Gemini, you could be wanting to partner with someone in love, most likely. I think you want a couple, especially with the Ten of Cups here. I mean, we are talking about emotions, and big ones at that, right? Like the full on, like, I love you forever kind of thing, right? So, and if it's not a love partnership, it's definitely wanting to be sort of someone's equal in terms of the energy, the participation, the engagement, right? Like wanting to be with someone maybe the same age or age group. Anything that, you know, would resonate for you as almost meeting your twin, right? If you want to think of twin flames, by all means, it could be that, but okay. Right now we have the Six of Swords in reverse. So maybe a little bit of on hold kind of energy. Especially these two knights are very, especially the Knight of Wands, of course, but there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of energy. For some reason, it's being halted here, literally halted. I'm thinking of one thing that could, it's just a side note kind of thing. The Six of Swords is moving from one shore to the other, right? It's a passage. You could be, if this is you, right? I described you, if you're the King of Swords, learning as much as you will always have these amazing ideas and this very, how do you say, your mind is built in a way that you're always gonna analyze and organize and plan anything you do in general, but you will always have your life, I guess, your life's genesis, or your life's, not the genesis, but like you will always have at heart to create out of nothing and to create something for your life. Especially being a King of Swords, you will envision that very much so through your thoughts. But this gentleman here, he's really learning how to enjoy life a lot more. And so maybe the passage that we're looking at here is a very fiery kind of nature, air, fire, moving into much more emotions, because we have the Ten of Cups with the Knight of Cups here. So if it's you within yourself, right, we could say that twice the cards are showing us that you're going from being much more cerebral to being much more emotional in general. And maybe even towards your own interests and what you decide will be, those 10 cups that compose your ultimate happiness in life, right? Yet, I'm telling you, this also feels like a love reading, and I think it does more, feels more like a love reading. The Queen of Swords in reverse. More swords. It's interesting. There's a lot of cerebral activity here, a lot of thinking, a lot of planning, a lot of... And the King of Pentacles, that's gorgeous. Amazing. You know, there's a lot of people here, right? There's 2 kings, 1 queen, and 2 knights at this point. And there's not that many cards on the table. The fact that the King and the Queen of Swords are in reverse, they're really showing me, these cards, that, you know, instead of seeing them as people that are bitter and difficult to work with, insensitive and, that kind of thing, I really don't want to read it in this way. I feel like these people are unlearning to behave like that, or to leave the emphasis on their thoughts. I think that they're getting a taste for life. They're getting a taste for... There's a transformation somehow because of this passage. There's somehow... it's like an influence. Something is influencing you in the most positive way, right? And I say passage, and at the same time, what's interesting is that there's no movement. So maybe that's why you're transforming, Gemini. Maybe if this is a relationship, maybe the relationship is transforming as well. But it's transforming within immobility, right? By being in one place, by thinking about the Genesis, thinking about from where are you creating inside of you, and are you creating just with your mind, your thoughts as the King and the Queen of Swords, and just on the drive of the Knight of Wands, just like, okay, let's do this, and I got a plan, and like... Or are you learning how to differentiate, sorry, I can't say that word, for yourself, like all the different components of what happiness really means to you? And are you looking to, develop maybe more of an earthy side of your personality, much more, I want to say, like sensual and maybe more grounded, or, a little more matter of fact. And, and also using the beautiful spontaneous emotions that the Knight of Cups brings. So I'm really reading it as you are learning how to incorporate these things, but it keeps like showing, like two people, right? There's a queen and a king, there's two knights, and there's basically you and this happiness, right? This forever happiness. So it is a love story. You could be either pick or choose here. Like, you can pick whichever side is you, or it feels like that is you. But there is something to be said about the lack of movement. There's a lack of physical movement, but yet there's a lot of energy being spent on, and I come back to the Genesis, to the creation. So in your heart with the cups, and in your mind with the swords. Let's see what the guidance is. I do want to say that one side here with the King and the Queen of Swords and the Knight of Wands, well, let me put it this way. On this side, the King of Pentacles with the Knight of Cups and the Ten of Cups, this person is extremely generous. In every sense of the word, right? So that contrasts a lot with the other side. So whether that's a shift within you, some personal growth, or whether it's the two different people, the way they are. Okay, 3 cards came out. I'm actually gonna take them. Oh no, just one. Oh, that's good. Sorry. That's good. Oh wow, I can't make this up. It's growth, and growth really goes with with the Knight of Pentacles, King of Pentacles. So I'm gonna put growth here on this spread, right on top of the Six of Swords in reverse. And you might find that very contradictory, of course, and I agree. And yet, I think it's about where the ideas grow, the ideas for happiness, right? And they grow when you sit and stop, the craziness, and take the time to go within. So I actually think it's very appropriate here. It's a beautiful reading. I'm a little rusty in terms of doing the readings on the videos. I've been pulling a lot of cards, but not necessarily speaking the readings. So if ever I didn't translate that well enough, I'm sorry. Getting back into it. So I do hope you've enjoyed it, because honestly, it's beautiful energy, and I hope I've conveyed it enough, or well enough, I should say. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate you greatly. So do share, like, subscribe even if you haven't, and I'll see you soon. Bye, Gemini.